Hello YouTube, this is Bruno. Today I will show you a farm that produces magma cubes. We spawn the magma cubes and send them to the overworld using portals. And depending on the killing chamber that we use, the farm will produce either froglights, a lot of froglights, if we kill all the big magma cubes and have frogs kill the small magma cubes, or with a different killing chamber, the farm will produce magma cream if we simply kill the magma cubes in the overworld. This video will focus on magma cream, however I will show you how to build a killing chamber that turns this into a froglight farm. It's a bit of a compromise between the large portal-based farms, which are very fast but require an extraordinary amount of obsidian, and the small one-dimensional farms, which are somewhat easier to build but have rather low rates. In this farm we have a few platforms to spawn in our magma cubes. In the middle they are lured by iron golems. Magma cubes don't care about fall damage, they just try to get to the golem, so they will go into the portal. And the magma cubes are killed using sweetberry bushes, which are fairly easy to get. So this is a farm that requires very little in terms of resources. All you need is a bit of obsidian and a few building blocks, maybe a few rails, and that's it. But first let's talk about why you would want to build such a farm. In recent Minecraft versions we have these large deposits of magma blocks that you can insta-mine with an efficiency pickaxe. So it's not too hard to get those. Getting magma cream is a bit more tricky because the basalt deltas are not exactly the most hospitable biome, but on the other hand usually you don't need a lot of them. So why build a farm? Well, the answer is simple. If you need a large amount of magma blocks, if you want to build a large-scale gold farm, you might want to have a lot of magma blocks, or maybe you have a shop to sell them. Personally, I prefer building a farm in 1 hour or maybe 90 minutes over just mining for 30 minutes, because building a farm is much more fun. On the other hand, sometimes you just have no choice. I recently started playing Vault Hunter Skyblock, where you can go into the nether. There are not a lot of magma blocks to be mined. If you don't know what Vault Hunters is, it's a mod pack developed by Iskra85. Gold is maybe the most important resource, at least early on. So you will need a gold farm, and since there are virtually no magma blocks to be had, I designed a magma farm from scratch. The farm has completely vanilla mechanics, and the world download is a vanilla 19.3 world, so let's get back there. Of course, the fastest magma cream farms that you can build look like this. They're just portal spam. So basically this is a 30 by 30 block of portals, and any magma cubes that spawn will be teleported immediately to the overworld into a killing chamber. Here we use our friend Steve to load in the overworld. The magma cubes come out of the portal, are killed by powder snow. And here I just use a carpet feature where you have hoppers pointing into wool blocks and they will counter items for you. This farm gives over 25,000 items per hour or 15 shulker boxes, which is great. Just has the small issue that it needs a bit of obsidian, or to be more precise, about 8 shulker boxes of obsidian, which is a tall order even if you have a decent piglin bartering farm, and pretty much impossible if you are at the start of a world or even at the skyblock world. So this farm is out. Let's see what else we can do. And here I have built a few farms. I'm not sure who the inventor of this farm is. Luring magma cubes with iron golems is of course an old mechanic. I got the idea of using sweetberry bushes to kill the magma cubes from a video from KelpMC, who says the farm was designed by Ray's Works. Now the player stands pretty much 128 blocks over the farm. Let's enable hitboxes to see the mobs better. And if you look at the spawning sphere, the platform is the only place where the mobs can spawn. And typically, even if they don't see the iron golem and they go off the platform, they will pretty much immediately despawn because they will land outside of the spawning sphere. But most of them will see the iron golem and go to the middle. The iron golem is protected from all sides. Also we have these bottom slabs here which protect us against ghast spawning and also prevent most of the magma cubes from going on top. So most of the magma cubes will fall into this pit, which is filled with sweetberry bushes. Of course, you could use wither roses, but wither roses is another resource that it's sometimes hard to get, especially early in the game. Sweetberry bushes kill the magma cubes somewhat slower. The rates of the farm are a bit lower compared to wither roses, but it's still a decent farm, just under 2000 magma cream per hour. I guess this farm can pretty much be built in 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. It requires literally no resources apart from the sweetberry bushes and a few rails, and a bit of iron for the golem. Other than that, it's just building blocks. Unfortunately, this farm can't be made a lot faster, because on one side we are up against the mob cap, and you can see that most of the mobs are indeed in the killing pit. So it takes a while to kill the mobs, and you can't have more than roughly 70 mobs. If you have more, the game will not spawn any new ones. So the general idea for all of these farms is to kill the mobs as fast as possible. And unfortunately, magma cubes are hard to kill. They don't care about lava, they don't care about fall damage, they don't care about burning. The only way to kill them is using wither roses, or sweetberry bushes, cactus, or even drowning. So what can we do? One of the usual tricks is to use portals and kill the mobs in the overworld. However, this won't work on the server if another player is in the overworld and more than 128 blocks away, because the mobs would despawn immediately. So don't build this farm on the server unless you're alone or you have a friend to load in the killing chamber. The idea is to build basically the same farm, but instead of having a killing chamber here in the middle, the magma cubes will enter a portal and they will be sent to the overworld where they are killed, and as soon as they are through the portal, they won't count against my mob cap anymore. So I can spawn in a lot more mobs. These farms usually have twice or 3 times the rates of a single dimension farm. So for the killing chamber, of course, the classic version is to use powder snow. But powder snow isn't that easy to get if you're early game either, unless you have an iron farm to craft enough buckets and live in a snowy biome where you can pick up the powder snow, or you have even more iron and can build cauldrons and collect snow. So we did something different and created a vegan killing chamber, which is plant-based. As you can see, here we use sweetberry bushes to kill the mobs. You could also plant cactus every other row. That would be maybe a bit faster, but of course with the cactus you have always the risk that the cactus will destroy a few items. If you are thinking about the mob cap doesn't matter a lot if you have such overworld killing chambers. Here we are well over the mob cap. All of these mobs won't count against the mob cap of our player Steve loading in the nether. So it's okay if we kill the mob slowly. However, I would recommend to build a killing chamber that is slightly larger, and I will build it a bit larger in the tutorial, because the more plants you have, the more the magma cubes will spread out and the faster you will kill them. So you will create a bit less lag. Now let's have a look at the farm. Compared to the farm I showed a few minutes ago, you can see that we have more spawning platforms, but they are smaller. And the idea of this is that it will take the magma cubes less time to get to the portal, so they will be faster eliminated, so we will get more drops. In general, you could build even more spawning platforms. You could just extend this upward and make them even smaller, so that the magma cubes would get a lot faster. Of course, this would need more materials. If we take the one-dimensional farm and build portals between the spawning spaces and the golem, we would get at least the same rates, but now you can see that the mob cap is not filled. Here again I use the carpet mob, where you can use the command log mob caps to display the mob cap. The mob cap is the first number shown on the top of the screen, and here we are down to about 25 mobs. Whenever you don't use up the mob cap, if you are well below the 70 mob limit, then the best way to make the farm more efficient is to add more spawning spaces. On the other hand, if you are up against the mob cap, then you can make the farm more efficient by killing the mobs faster. Or by removing the mob from the mob cap, as we do here, using portals or maybe boats or similar devices. So the changes we make here are twofold. On one hand, we will make the platforms a bit smaller, which shortens the time for the magma cubes to reach the portals. And of course, we add more spawning spaces. Here we made the platforms a little bit smaller, but use 2 layers, and again the mob cap is at about 25 to 30 mobs, so we'll just add 2 more platforms and the farm should use up the mob cap. Maybe adding a 5th platform would help to increase the rates a little bit more, but I think a 6th platform wouldn't do anything. Of course, another way to increase spawning rates is to move the farm downwards. However, we'd have to remove all the blocks over the farm, So to move this farm downwards, we'd have to break a whole lot of bedrock and remove all of the roof over the farm. So we'll stay on the nether roof for the time being. For this farm here, you need about 4 stacks of obsidian, which is still possible to mine manually in the end, for example. If you don't have a lot of obsidian, you could move the portals further in to the golem. This is a 9x9 portal chute. You could make this 7x7, even 5x5 would work. And you could reduce it to 3 or 2 or even 1 platform. Of course, the rates would suffer a bit. As usual, if you want higher rates, you'll need more materials and more effort. We don't have any spawning platforms where you can't see the golem. These platforms are designed in a way that every mob that spawns here can see the golem. There's a small chance, like this buddy here, that a mob might move a bit. These magma cubes hop randomly and still be blocked from the golem. In this case, either they will just jump around and come to a spot where it can see the golem, or it will despawn after a while. But if you observe over time, pretty much all of the magma cubes will immediately see the golem and hop towards the golem and towards the portal. I use mini hut to construct a circle. In this case, the circle has a radius of 14 blocks. If the magma cubes are further than 16 blocks away, they wouldn't see the golem. Now this mod is client only, so you can use it on a vanilla server, and it really helps in constructing these platforms. But of course, if you are unsure, you could just use diamond-shaped platforms and maybe flesh them out a little bit. I basically left out the spots where I couldn't see the golem. So I spawned in the golem first, and here I can't see the golem. I can't see the center of the golem, so I won't put a block, but here I can see the golem, so there's a block here. We used glass for the top. You could as well use bottom slabs or any other non-spawnable blocks like leaves. With glass, of course, you can see what's going on. It's rather important to block ghasts. For this, you would need only smaller strips of glass. Basically, every 4 blocks would have to be a glass block. However, magma cubes can jump quite high, and they might jump on top of the roof and jump on top of the golem. So I decided to use basically the same shape that I use for the platforms for the roof. This makes sure that no magma cube can get on the roof. Let's have a look at the killing chamber. And let's get rid of the magma cubes for a moment. We have in the middle a water stream that will move the magma cubes that come out of the portal to either side pretty much randomly. It really doesn't matter a lot how you have the portal in here. And these magma cubes will be flushed towards the sweetberry bushes, and we use some signs to block the water. And we have a minecart collecting the drops underneath these 2 blocks. Here we have the wall, so no drops can end up here, but the drops might very well end up on the signs. If they land further inside, the water streams would push them to the outside, so we get all of the drops. The coordinates of these portals are aligned exactly. The coordinates of this inner block is exactly 8 times the coordinates of the middle of the farm in the nether. We have built this here at height 200 or a bit higher. Anything that goes through these portals, both of them actually, will end up in the top portal at our AFK spot. So we have a second portal on top of the killing chamber and a portal near the AFK spot, which is a way for the player to access the drops. Of course, for all these mobs here, the game will search for the nearest nether portal in the overworld, which will always be the lower portal leading to the killing chamber, because we built the killing chamber high enough in the sky. To turn this farm into a froglight farm, you will have to adapt the killing chamber. The setup was proposed by El Mango. However, you will need powder snow and honey blocks. The powder snow sits on top of chains, and the chains will only let the small magma cubes through. So the big magma cubes will take damage from the powder snow until they are killed and split into small magma cubes. And the small magma cubes fall down on honey. Now you could use other blocks. However, the honey prevents the frogs from jumping, and frogs are really laggy if they can jump. So this makes the farm a lot more lag efficient, and also you can just build hoppers below, and the hoppers will suck in all the froglights through the honey blocks. Otherwise, with normal blocks you would have to use minecarts. Otherwise, this collection chamber is really simple. I made another video about a froglight farm that I built a while ago on the Jcraft server. The nether site is different, but the overworld killing chamber is the same, so I will just link this video. And of course, you don't need to build this farm twice if you want both froglights and magma cubes. because you can just build the nether side once, and the nether side is the bulk of the work, and build both killing chambers just on top of each other. And depending on which portals you have lit up, you will activate the killing chamber. So if you want magma cream, just activate these two portals. If you want to have froglights, break these two portals and light up these two. Here's a list of the necessary materials. You will find these boxes in the world download, but you can also pause the video if you like. For the killing chamber, of course, you need sweetberries, or wither roses if you prefer, a bit of rails, and you can replace pretty much all of the glass with normal building blocks. For the farm, obviously we need a lot of slabs of any type. We need more slabs, these are for the roof, but you can also use the same type, iron and carved pumpkins for the golem, as well as a few fence posts. The glass is for the AFK platform. Here you can also use any other materials. You should make it non-spawnable. And for temporary blocks, it helps to have a lot of scaffolding. Any blocks that you can break, like dirt or slime. Slime is always good as temporary block because you can break it using any tool. And it certainly helps to have an elytra whenever you build high in the sky. Let's get building. Find a 30 by 30 area that is completely in a basalt delta and mark the center of this area with the bottom slab. The first iron golem will stand on the slab, so surrounded using fences. Write down the coordinates of the center slab. And now we will build the first set of portals for the bottom layer. Go out 4 blocks and start building the first portal. The slabs here are temporary, so you can see the distance. And build a portal 3 blocks high as usual and 9 blocks wide. So you'll have 7 blocks in the interior. Repeat this on all sides, so the golem is in the center of the 4 portals, and light up the portals. The next step is to build a killing chamber in the overworld. Go to the overworld, break the portal that you came through, and find the coordinates that are exactly 8 times of the X and Z coordinates of the center slab that you've wrote down. Go out 8 blocks in any direction. On this side will be the collection area with the output chests. And build up scaffolding until you are roughly 200 blocks high. Build a little platform away from your center point using non-spawnable blocks and put down a few chests, as many as you like, or you could build a shulker box loader here if you prefer. 2 hoppers leading into the top chest on either side, and build a little minecart unloading station for both hoppers. A comparator reading the hopper, the comparator goes into a solid block, a redstone torch on that block, and a piece of redstone dust to power the rails. We will have 1 minecart for the right side and 1 minecart for the left side of our platform. The dimensions are a bit arbitrary. The distance between the minecarts shouldn't be more than 15 blocks because you need water streams in the middle. And the length of the platform should be something between 10 and 15 blocks. The rails on both sides must be 2 blocks wide and must end at the solid block adjacent to a powered rail. The rates of this farm are about 2/3 of hopper speed. You might get away with using 1 minecart, but then you also might lose a few drops this way. So I guess it's better to have 2 minecarts. Place dirt blocks over the outer minecart track, building blocks for the inside, and place the sweetberry bushes on the dirt. When you're done with the farm, the sweetberry bushes should have grown. If they haven't, use a bit of bone meal to make them mature, so they damage the mobs. Repeat this on the other side, and build a solid platform between the dirt strips. The center of this platform should be right over the spot that we marked, which is 8 times the coordinates of our iron golem in the nether. Place signs on every block adjacent to the sweetberry bushes to protect them from the water streams. And encase this killing chamber. Here we used glass, but you could use any building blocks. Place water sources right between the sweetberry bushes on each of the center blocks, so you should have a water stream going out to the side. Find the center of the platform and go up 4 blocks using temporary blocks or scaffolding. And on top of those 4 temporary blocks, build the nether portal that will transport the magma cubes. Our portal here is 3 blocks wide on the interior or 5 blocks on the outside. And while you're at it, build a second nether portal on top of the first portal, which will be the portal that we use to access the farm from the nether. Go back down and continue building up the walls until you are at the same level as the obsidian between the 2 nether portals. It's also handy to have a bit of scaffolding to go down from the portal to the collection area. And then we build a ceiling at the same level as the obsidian between the portals. Light up both portals before you close the roof. Place a hopper minecart on each track and go through the top portal back to the nether. Next we build the remaining portals and the iron golems. To spawn in an iron golem you will need to elevate it by one temporary block that is at the same height as the fences. So place one temporary block, 2 iron blocks over it, 2 iron blocks on the side, break the temporary block and place a carved pumpkin on top. And then build up 3 more copies, all of them with a slab surrounded by fences, an iron golem in the middle and portals on the outside. When you're done, scaffold up to build height and build a second portal at build height. We start with the spawn proofing blocks, in this case glass or bottom slab, and then below them the portal, so the highest blocks are at level 255. We build up a little platform to access the portal, but our AFK spot will be on the glass blocks on top of the portal. All that remains is to build the platforms. Build top slabs adjacent to the portal, go out 2 blocks to the side, and then 5 more blocks diagonally, and then build a little platform like this. You can use mini hut to generate a circle centered on the iron golem, but then you don't really have to. You should end up with platforms forming something like a circle, but that has no spawning spots where the side to the golem is blocked. Fill in the platform and then proceed to build 3 more copies. You will be quite safe, because the only way that magma cubes can spawn on the platforms are if they are on the other side of you, so they would have to go through the portal to get to you, and the killing chamber is already in place. The last step is to build a roof that has the same shape as the platforms, but consists of bottom slabs and not as the platforms of top slabs. Spawn proof the top nether portals by putting bottom slabs on them, and the farm is done. You can fly up to your AFK spot and watch it working. I hope you enjoyed this farm. You will find the world download and 2 light medica files for the nether site and the overworld file in the description. Leave a like if you want to see more content like this, and see you next time. Bye bye.